All right, welcome to the runningrestaurants.com podcast, where we bring you the tips, tools, and techniques you need to make your restaurant more profitable and successful. I'm your host, Jaime Oikle. Today, I've got a great episode for you with David Shove Brown, co-founder and principal at 3877, a design and architectural firm that also does some brand development, does a lot of work for restaurants and hospitality. So not a subject that we get into a lot. And so I'm excited to cover it. It's been a while since we've talked about it here. So David, welcome. Tell me a bit about the firm, the work you do, how you got to where you are today.
Thank you so much for having me. This is awesome. So we are a 13-year-old firm. My business partner and I started in my kitchen a while back. My business partner is my best friend from college, also named Dave. So I'm not talking in the third person. He goes by DT. I go by DSB. We had always talked about starting something up, and it just got to be the right time of having contacts and some potential work. And so we started everything. We've grown. We are now a 42-person firm. We do architecture, interior design, branding, and we've got some office admin folks that are here. We focus on hotel, hospitality, restaurants, some retail, residential, things of that sort. But there's so much crossover these days that all these sectors are starting to blur together. But that we really wanted to focus on what we were good at and what we really enjoyed doing. And so that's the type of work that we chase.
Let me dig in a little further just by grabbing a quote right off the front of your website. All right. Authentic spaces for clients who want to do cool shit with the shit kind of blurred out. So, I mean, is it as simple as not simple as that, but is that the vibe? Is that part of it? Just like really having fun with it?
So part of our journey, part of our firm journey has been really coming to the understanding of who we are and celebrating that, understanding that, selecting a design firm is a really personal thing. That design firm that's going to work with you and manifest your vision for your restaurant or your hotel. And so we came to an understanding sort of early on that not that we didn't want to take prisoners, but it's okay not being the firm for everybody. It's okay that, you're trying to find the right partnerships and the right relationships. And so, we've sort of taken on this mentality of do cool shit in that, somebody that goes to the website and sees cursing on the website goes, I don't know if this is for me. That's okay. That's, part of it. Or you get people that get onto the website and go, yeah, this is exactly what I want to be a part of. I want to work there. I want to work with these crazy people. Like, that's okay. And so we want to have people that are unique that work here, that have, differing skills and abilities and talents and visions. And by celebrating who we are and putting it out there, we think that just makes for a stronger partnership. A while back, one of our employees mentioned that when I called her to offer her a job, she said, and I don't recall this, I might have blacked out, I don't know, that I told her that she was our kind of weird. And she was like, I knew at that moment, like, this was the right place for me. And, for us, it's accepting the fact that a lot of us were a little bit, we were social outcasts in middle school and high school, and that's okay. And celebrating who we are and what we do. And we want it to be unique and fun and challenging and all of those things together.
Yeah, those tough middle school years. I got my youngest is in that phase now, so we'll see if we get to the other side. The older ones made it.
Mine just went into high school, so I feel your pain, brother.
Yeah, our older ones have made it through the gauntlet, but we'll see. So yeah, I saw elsewhere that people's a big focus in building your team. So I do want to come back to that, but let's talk about a restaurant comes to you, and they've obviously, if we were to go out to your website, we'd see lots of stunning photography, and so they're going to come to you guys and knowing that you've done a lot of work already. It's not anything wouldn't be a surprise to them per se. So they come in, they say, listen, I see you guys have done a lot of great projects. I have an idea. Like, how does it build? How do you grow from there? How do you help them get their vision?
So it's, that answer has evolved over 13 years. It's evolved to a series of additional follow-up questions to really sort of dig deeper into who that is. There's plenty of folks that are out there in the restaurant space that say, I inherited some money from my great uncle and I like food. I'm going to open a restaurant. And that's not who we want to work with. We want to work with, folks that have a vision of what food is, what beverage service is like, what the journey is like, what the concept of the menu is like. Because we want to, as soon as we meet with somebody, we're going to start to drill down into the business and talk about the food and talk about what that experience is like. Not just from, is it a white napkin experience or is it a grab and go? We're going to talk about, all the way from who's taking the order to bringing the food to, how many covers are we talking about? What are we talking about in terms of, the bar experiences versus the dining experience and all of those things. So it leads us to a whole bunch of questions to dive deeper into who this is and what they're trying to do, because quite frankly, the design is just part of that experience. We are not the experience. The food is the experience. That night out is the experience, and good design helps tell the story and helps, reinforce the vision of what's happening, as much as good branding and good, well thought out menus, well thought out, place setting. All of those things work together to provide an experience. And so we fully understand that while the design is important and special, it's not the leading star. We have to work, and I say we choose and celebrate working with all those other things to provide someone with a really unique dining experience. And whether that is a quick, like I said, quick grab and go burger, or this is a 3-hour long meal, that's got 7 courses, whatever that may be, we want to work with them to provide the best night out possible.
Yeah, the whole, it all comes to, when it works right, it all comes together seamlessly. And that's kind of where the next question I wanted to ask is, like, you guys touch what I'm not gonna say invisible, but there's so many invisible components of design that I don't even realize. I just realized, oh, this place is cool. The lighting comes together, and the music and the materials, and it's stuff that I don't even necessarily think about, or the normal person just feels it. What are some of those behind the scene things as you start to rattle off? Okay, Mr. Restaurant owner, you're going to have to pick lighting and what you want on the counter and paint and flooring, and talk to me about some of that decision processes and like all the things that go into it.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I mean, there's a ton of decisions, some of which are easy. It's easy to start to talk about. I say easy as in it's straightforward. We're picking wall finishes or we're picking floor finishes. But some of it is the understanding that we want to provide the right lighting in a restroom. So when somebody goes in to use the restroom and they wash their hands at the sink afterwards, they look in the mirror and they go, damn, I look good, versus terrible lighting that you walk in and you go, oh God, I don't want to be a part of this. So starting to think of the customer experience in terms of, what are some of the high touch areas that are, obviously very important, but what are some of those areas that are sometimes forgotten? What are some of those little nuances that, the development of purse hooks, for instance, things like that, that when you don't have little things like that, people go, oh, what a bummer, but when you have them, it's thought out. It's something that really just adds to the experience that, makes people feel a little bit more comfortable, a little bit more at home. But also, that same thought process goes for employees. So understanding circulation patterns of employees. How is somebody serving a table and clearing a table and dropping dirty dishes off and picking up, plated food to be delivered? And what's that cycle like? What are the distances at the bar and the back bar so that you maintain efficiency, but also provide the right environment for bartenders to interact with guests and provide that next level of experience that says, because you're not walking all over God's great earth to get a bottle of wine, that gives you a little bit extra time to go, hey, I noticed you tried this. How about this one the next time? And so it's really diving into that customer and employee experience of working there and helping that lead some of the discussion.
When you were talking, one of the things I thought about was the first impressions, focal point. Any trends or anything you guys like to do specifically to capture interest, or does a good design have maybe multiple focal points that different people are going to catch on to? What do you think?
So for us, it's sort of a multi point approach.
Yeah.
But all those points play into one experience. I think that when somebody goes out to dinner and you go to a restaurant that has a focal point or one sort of, you have dinner and you go, okay, that's great. Check, I did it. I can go to the next restaurant. But if you provide differing seating areas and differing activity, and environments and differing engagements, levels of engagement, you could go to a restaurant with a buddy, you could go to a restaurant on a date, you could go to a restaurant with a group of friends, and each time could be a different experience. So when we start to talk about the experience of a restaurant, we look at all those things because we want somebody to go in and go, I had this great dinner sitting at this booth. I really want to go to the bar next time I'm here, or I really want to go to the upstairs dining room, or whatever it may be. And so you want to give peaks to some of these other things so that people keep coming back and want to come and experience all those different places and pieces.
Good. Yeah. No, I appreciate that. I want to go next to kind of trends, and you can answer this. I mean, I believe you guys do primarily focus in the Washington D.C. area. Maybe you'll work elsewhere as well. You can address that. But are you seeing trends in your marketplace or marketplaces overall that operators are saying, I got to have this. They have this. What? And those things are fleeting. But trends, thoughts. What do you think?
So we do work all over the country. We've got projects going on anywhere from the DC area to the Midwest to West Coast, Hawaii, the Caribbean right now. So
Nice.
there are certainly some thought processes that are the same across sectors, but certainly talking about trends, we went through a period of time where there was sort of a hyper local trend. There was the farm to table trend, and not to say that those are I'm not trying to diminish that farm to table suggests that it's just a trend and a fad. I'm suggesting that the manner in which you present your restaurant has evolved and changed. And I think what we're seeing now, this was really very evident right after COVID, was understanding that people have a lot of choices. Understanding that there's a lot of great restaurants out there. There's a lot of great dining experiences. And so how does your dining experience give people the bang for their buck, but also make it so that they want to talk about it and come back for more? There was, for a long period of time, or maybe longer than I even want to think about, there was this commentary of the Instagrammable moment, or, but really what it's about is understanding social media as a tool, as a way to share imagery and share experiences, and quite frankly, those are some of yes, restaurant reviews are important and restaurant, write-ups are important, but truly people having great experiences and talking about it with their friends, or talking about it on their social media platforms, or quite frankly talking about it with strangers on Yelp and things like that, that's where some of the best business comes from. So by providing experiences and atmospheres that allow for people to really want to participate, not to have like that one I'm looking at part of our logo here, but that one feature wall that everybody wants to stand in front of and take it, but giving people multiple experiences, like do that selfie with that cool tile in the bathroom, but also take a picture of that beautifully plated dish and what's happening at the bar. All of those things can help promote the restaurant just from guests alone. Having well-trained staff, having a well thought out circulate, all of those things play into a great experience that people then talk about.
Yeah, 100%. You know what I'm curious about as you're talking, I'm like, because projects never work out, whether it's your house, your building, things just don't work out. So what are some of the pain points that you see restaurants go through? Hey, we wanted to do this, but we had to pivot and do that. What can people think about ahead of time to not make mistakes? Anything jump to your head?
Yeah, a couple of them. Understanding what makes them money.
Hmm.
So understanding, the balance of what their vision is between food and drink. Understanding, are we a bar heavy restaurant? Are we a food heavy restaurant? Or is there a balance? Understanding how many covers a restaurant needs to have in a given night, because that's going to inform the type of service and how service operates. Understanding, the production of the food, what needs to be, how it needs to be produced, how it needs to be brought out to guests. You can walk into generally, you can walk into a restaurant space that is not succeeded, and you can tell almost immediately if it's a chef-driven restaurant or an ownership-driven restaurant, because the percentages of seating versus kitchen are not right. So there's a pretty strong balance there to make money. And then honestly, circulation. A lot of times people say, well, kitchens are back of house, so are restaurants, or so are restrooms. We should just make one corridor at the back of the house, which is a just complete colossal disaster when you have people that are looking for the restroom, interacting with people, bringing plates of food out. Like it can't succeed. So, understanding how some of those things operate, understanding, just simple protocols of movement around a restaurant, understanding the business aspect before you even get into it. And then understanding, quite honestly, how the entire budget plays into the long-term success of the restaurant. Right now, I mean, we're still in a time when mechanical equipment and electrical, everything is expensive. So, you're going to spend so much money in infrastructure before you even get to the pretty stuff that's going to be the vision of your restaurant, that you could be spending your entire lifespan of the restaurant trying to just catch up on the amount you spent on putting in mechanical equipment. So understanding your budget and understanding where it's going is critical.
Yeah, there's no question about that. You can set yourself back hard times. You talked about a lot of choices in restaurants, absolutely. But I want to flip it on you. There's a lot of choices in career. How did you end up in this realm? At any regard? What do you think?
Oh man. So, well, my story is a little bit more interesting in the sense that, I don't know. I didn't grow up with anybody in the family who was an architect or anybody who was in architecture design. So, my getting here was a little bit circuitous, but, I finally made it to architecture school and, really found all the weird people like me that, we're sort of creative, sort of math based, sort of science, and so I've been, I got out of college and was working for a couple of different firms. I was in academia for a while, which was great. So, working with young people, it was twofold great to be really inspired by young creative ideas. It was also a great way to find really awesome talent and then offer them jobs. So
recruiting,
yeah, exactly. So we have a bunch of people that work here. When I went from full-time teaching to part-time, we have a bunch of people here that were students from past life. So, as we got into it and we started to discuss more of the types of work, and this goes back to, the do cool shit of I just want to work with people that I like. Like I want people, you said something earlier that, sometimes a project sometimes things just go wrong. Like it's going to happen in every project. We never have a perfect project. So we have made a conscious decision that we want to work with people that understand that there's fallibility in all of this, and understand that, we might screw something up, somebody else, like, that's okay. Like, we figure it out and we move forward. And so we want to work with nice people. I want to work with people that, when I'm in town, I want to be at their restaurant, or I want to hang out with them and have a beer. That to me is far more important. And so we started to find that the space of hospitality and restaurants and retail, there was just a community there that we really enjoyed, and not just community of clients, but quite frankly, our competition, with whom we're very good friends. And so, a lot of times we're sharing ideas with our competition and talking to our competition of what are they doing? What are they doing well? What's going, especially during COVID, we had a lot of conversations, how are we dealing with this? How do we get new work? How do we help each other so that when somebody's a little slower, somebody else can help them out? So there was just that community aspect to our sectors that we really enjoy too, and it just sort of helps us, enliven who we are.
As we start to wrap, kind of one of the last things I want to get to is I read elsewhere, people and building teams, big part of what you do, giving back in your community, also a big part of it. And you already touched on the teaching thing, but if you were to say, obviously you're recruiting different than recruiting someone to work at a restaurant, but how do you build a team? Any thoughts on leadership? What do you think?
Hire talented people and get the hell out of the way. And we're evolving. It's a scenario where we've done a really good job, and let me pat my back a little bit. We've done a good job of finding talented people, and I say we as a whole, not just Dave and I, but we as a whole, in that the really talented people that we have here talk about working somewhere that might be a little bit different, that could be, a little bit more interesting, that could provide some unique atmosphere to produce creative work. And so they start to recruit colleagues, and they start to recruit classmates. And so there's that word of mouth component. That's great. Yeah. And, we have a pretty sort of rigorous interview process where folks start talking to our HR team, and then they are meeting with some other people in the office. They meet with Dave and myself and our newest partner, Ryan. And we want to make sure culturally that people fit in and understand what they're sort of getting into. We want to tour them around the office and show them that we have, graffiti up on the walls and a sign that says "Do cool shit every day." Because again, we want people to feel comfortable here. I want people to be individuals and unique, but bring a sense of camaraderie to their team. So it's not, 42 individuals working in 42 directions, but bringing those unique, weird, fun people together for a common goal. That comes from communication. We've worked really hard at building our mentoring within the office, and, trying to get people to see long term. And those are all things that we're continuing to evolve and continuing to grow. But, giving people a voice, giving people a place where they feel that they can speak up and, actually influence change is something that's important to us.
Good. Yeah. And listen, while you're in your space, the lessons that you talked about work in any business, those are successful ways to engage people, motivate people, build a team. If your people are bringing other people to work at your company, you're doing something right. That's I fully believe that. So, all right, send them to website, send them to anywhere you want, socials. Where should folks go to learn more?
Start off with the website, go to 3877.design. And then from there, you can dive into all of the social medias and find us and me. And, each of our social media outlets is a little bit different, because we want, what we show on Instagram is different than LinkedIn or different than, Facebook or MySpace or Friendster or any of those. Is anybody still on MySpace? Exists? I don't even know. But part of what we do on social media is we talk about the story of the design. So like Instagram's got a lot of sort of behind the scenes stuff, and LinkedIn's got more sort of finished product. So, go and find us on, do searches for 3877 and Studio 3877. You'll find us everywhere, but there's links on our website, but dive in there. And then, feel free to reach out to me at dsb@studio3877.com, and happy to connect.
Excellent. Yeah. Listen, folks, go to the site. There's some beautiful projects. You'll see that. Get in touch with them. And social, and you pointed out, and this goes for restaurants too. Use your channels differently. Instagram's great for behind the scenes, and you said, LinkedIn's more corporate-ish, and use your channels appropriately. Good lesson for all. All right, folks. David Shove Brown of 38. I got to say it right. 3877. I want to do it differently. 3877. Find them on the web at 3877.design. So not .com or anything else. 3877.design. For more great restaurant marketing, service, people, and tech tips, stay tuned to us here at runningrestaurants.com. In the meantime, do me a favor, do us a favor, share us, like us, review us, rate us wherever you're listening or watching, and that helps us. I appreciate it. We'll see you next time. Thanks, David.
Awesome. Thank you, Jamie. Appreciate it.